many of you here have been told that you are just average and were disappointed? Can somebody please raise hand? Yeah. So the term average is often used with undertones of disappointment or dismissal. But what if I tell you that being average isn't a mark of mediocrity, but can be the key to extraordinary success when used effectively? Hello, I'm Dr. Manish Taneja, an emergency and critical care physician and a social media educator. And today I want to share with you a very powerful idea. The sum of averages is better than one. Or mastering the fundamentals in multiple areas creates a strong foundation for success. So let's start from the beginning. I grew up in a small town in Rajasthan with a typical middle class upbringing. Our family home was, like many others, was mediocre and of faded paint and worn out flooring, representing the quiet resilience of middle class aspirations. But my family roots ran deeper than that of foundation of our home, anchored in the tumultuous history of partition passed down from my grandparents, who carried with them memories of lost homes and severed connection, but also an unyielding resilience which became our family's most precious possession. My parents, who might not get a mention in any history books, but have left an everlasting impact on our lives. In our home, our first classroom, they created a garden of patience and virtues where education was about kindness and continual learning, and where dreams flourished. Looking back, I realized that this average childhood or ordinary childhood was in fact extraordinary, as we were taught to look for greatness in simple things in contrast with the world which often celebrates the grand. My formal education began at a few local schools nearby, but my true learning happened at a Kendriya Vidyalaya, a quintessentially Indian school, embodiment of middle class existence, neither grandiose nor lackluster. And like me, my classmates were ordinary kids from ordinary families, each with unique dreams and struggles. Bhaskar, with ink-stained fingers, was excellent at maths, thanks to the hours of dogged practice, and Firoz, who struggled with a stutter but possessed a determination we were in awe of. We were not savants nor prodigies, but we stuck and struggled together, sharing our knowledge and our lunches. We were the explain like I'm five for each other before it was an internet thing. My report cards also showed comfortable mediocrity, but with every 60s or 70s in maths or science, it showed that I was understanding an algebra or a natural law better. And like previous trend in my life, after school, I attended a modest medical college, not a prestigious institution, but pivotal to my journey. NMC had some dedicated teachers and keen students, and in the absence of cutting-edge medical technology, we were taught to use our clinical acumen and fundamental medical principles, skills that would later define me. It was during the internship in the medical college when I had an epiphany. I was posted in the casualty department, working tirelessly, overwhelmed by the complexity of it all. I didn't think I would last more than a week in the department, but I always had hopes that things would get better and there would be a silver lining. Then one day, a middle-aged man came in with chest pain, anxious and scared. I was a junior doctor, junior most in fact. Knowing the limitations of my knowledge and my experience, I decided to focus on something which I knew I could handle. I knew I could speak to the patient in an effort to calm him down, knowing that patients with heart attacks do worse if agitated. I decided to calm him down. That day I realized that I had this powerful capacity to break down complex ideas. Honed through the hours of conversation I've had with my friends at KV, and this ability to connect with people from all walks of life, cultivated in the unremarkable streets of my hometown, and a solid foundation of medical knowledge built brick by brick in the modest halls of NMC. These essentially average skills, they were exactly what I needed. The stint at Casualty became one of my most successful time in the internship, and as the fate would have it, I chose emergency medicine as my specialty. A branch very new to the country, and we were supposed to be the first line responders to the patients in need as they walked or were wheeled in through the doors of emergency. Although new, the branch was considered average as there was no scope for specializing. We were meant to be the jack of all trades, but people wanted specialists. Did you know that in the UK, surgeons are addressed to as Mr. or Miss and not doctors? This custom dates back to early 18th century when surgeons were average craftsmen learning their trade through apprenticeship and not through formal medical education. Yet, these average craftsmen went on to become one of the most successful specialists in the medical field. This tradition highlights an important point, that being considered average does not rule out the possibility of future respect and success in a field. Coming back to the story, I realized that patients responded well to this conversational approach. I was a doctor who could break down complex medical knowledge related to their disease and its solution to them effectively. And one late night, I had the opportunity to rediscover my talent. An elderly couple walked in through the doors of emergency where the wife was in need of serious medical attention. And like many people, they too demanded a specialist. But since there were none at the hour, I decided to jump in and take charge. I decided to be as empathetic and gentle with the patient. Apprehensive at first, the elderly couple quickly calmed down, and then the wife was given necessary diagnosis and treatment. And when the specialist arrived early next morning, he applauded me for the treatment and for convincing the patient to stay, as she was too sick to have reached another hospital. My commitment to these everyday skills became my secret weapon, as they allowed me to bridge the gap between medical knowledge and patient understanding. And I realized that in medicine, and I'm sure in other professions as well, often the most powerful thing you can do is to have clear communication, empathy, and a solid understanding of foundational principles. This fundamental approach has also helped my colleagues get quickly used to the department. One particular incident involved a junior colleague who recently joined our department. He studied at one of the most prestigious medical colleges in the country and was supposed to be better equipped at handling the chaotic situations. But unfortunately, the practice of medicine is brutal and does not differentiate between average or privileged. The junior colleague was quickly overwhelmed and was having a hard time. Watching him gave me flashbacks of my early days, and I decided to take him under the wing as I imparted all the knowledge I had learned over the years, and I shared with him my tactics of dealing with the patients. It was so heartwarming to watch my junior colleague do well and learn the art of effective communication and get down to the nitty-gritty of problem solving. After watching my colleague do well, I realized that I can have an even bigger impact. So I decided making educational content on social media. I wasn't using any fancy equipments or complex editing software, but I decided to focus on clear explanations, relatable examples, and a genuine connection with my audience. To my surprise, people started listening. My follower count grew, and not because I was exceptional, but because I was bringing medical education back to basics. I was making complex medical knowledge accessible for young doctors and medical students effectively. So the multiplier effect is where the magic happens. By mastering the fundamentals in medical knowledge, effective communication, and now social media, I was able to create something truly unique. I was able to reach more people, teach more effectively, and have a wider response than I could have if I would have stuck to excelling at only one field. I've had numerous people send messages that how they avoided a serious pitfall because of a clear video I posted. Or medical students tell me that they could understand a complex medical concept because of my simple explanation. So the message is clear. The sum of averages is better than one. Your everyday experiences, your fundamental skills in your profession can create a cocktail, a unique cocktail for success. So I urge you to embrace the average. Celebrate it, because when you truly master the fundamentals in multiple areas, you create something unique, something valuable, and something extraordinary. You don't need to excel at one field. You need to be very good at a few things and watch how they multiply each other. So here's a challenge for you. Think of the fundamental skills in your profession. Think how you can master them, and think what other skills can you add to your toolkit to enhance your career. Think how the mastery of these multiple things can create something truly unique. Remember, you don't need to reinvent the wheel to excel. You just need to be brave enough to get back to the basics. This ordinary approach can have extraordinary results, as seen in my case, from a small town boy to a doctor and an educator. So remember, the next time someone calls you average, it's an opportunity to create something truly valuable. Thank you.